I M29 just realized I'm having an emotional affair with my ex, F28. Throwaway. My fiancé is 32. I met her right after I broke up with K, my ex, and she started off as a fling. K and I are HS sweethearts, separated in college to be free but pursued an open relationship in junior year. We broke up 4 years ago when she moved to Boston, and I'm not going to lie to you, it was rough. I met my fiancé around 3 months later, and I'll admit, I never got the proper time to heal from the breakup. She was a rebound fling that turned into a relationship. We got engaged last July at her birthday party and the wedding was set for October, but then COVID hit. I felt so pressured to marry her. She would drop subtle hints that she wanted to get married and I acted like I never noticed. About 6 weeks before the party, her mom had come up to me and talked about how my fiancé was getting old and she really loved me and thought I should propose to her at her birthday, so I did. I love her, but I still doubt if I was ready. In April, Kay had reached out to me, the first time in 4 years. She had DM'd me asking if I was safe and we were making very minimal conversation. In my head I was so confused. A whole 5 months later she had messaged me that she was sorry about everything that happened during our breakup, no infidelity. It was the first time I ever heard this, and I will admit, it was very delightful to hear that. We had been texting about 3 weeks in very friendly tones. It meant nothing romantic to me, but they were great conversations. She had told me she was coming back home until she found a job in the city and had asked me to pick her up from the airport because no one else was available. I agreed, and this was the first time I felt something was off, but I ignored it. I got her, and we stopped to eat. We sat in my car and I hadn't even realized I didn't see her in 4 years. We just started talking. She was easy to talk to. We looked back on memories and she reminded of how we would sit in the car and talk. I dropped her home and the next time I saw her was mid-October. We just went to sit in my car and eat again, but this time she asked about my fiancé and how things were going. I told her minimal details, but that progressed to confiding in her about problems my fiancé and I would have to very personal matters, vice versa over each time we called, texted one another. One day, I actually went to her house, not inside. My fiancé picked up an extra shift that night and Kay had told me she wasn't feeling well. I dropped off dinner, safety precautions, and left. It came to the point where I couldn't shake her out of my head and anticipated her text calls. She was on my mind constantly. With the problems my financee and I were having, plus Kay being a confidant, entered for disaster. Last night my fiancé and I were watching Marriage Boot Camp and someone mentioned an emotional affair and I asked her what it meant. She had explained almost about everything I'd been doing with Kay, the sneaking around to contact, the fantasizing, the loneliness I felt when we said goodbye for the time being, anticipation for the next time I wanted to see her, just about everything. Of course I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I didn't think it counted because I didn't act on my emotions. Every time I look at my fiancé I feel so guilty. I am emotionally attached to my ex-girlfriend and it's killing me inside. I haven't responded back to Kay today, but the burning feeling, oh heaven to do, that scares the shit out of me. I stepped out my relationship without even realizing I did. I have no idea what to do now. I'm so lost for words. And #X200B. Too long did not read. Snuck around with an ex-girlfriend behind my fiancé's back, but no physical stuff whatsoever. Just calls and 3 meetups ever since September to now. It's clear to me that it's clear to you what you want. Better to realize that now than after you get married. You know what you're doing is wrong simply because of the feelings you're having. Whether you get back with your ex or not, you are already emotionally checked out of your relationship with your fiancé. This is so fucking sad for your fiancé. Please break up with her. She deserves to find someone who loves her unconditionally. You do not love this woman, you're with her because you're a coward and it's the path of least resistance. You both deserve real happiness, which means you need to let her go. You don't want to get married. Don't. Fiancé deserves someone who wants to be married. You deserve happiness. Please don't go into marriage as an obligation or because your fiancé really wants it. I think you should tell your fiancé what you've already done. If you feel pressured to marry someone after 4 years, you need to stop wasting their time. Most people who want to get married start dripping strong hints about that sooner than your fiancé did. Regardless of what you do with Kay, you should have a serious convo and likely end it with fiancé. Let her go, dude. Emotional affairs are not cool. Do not marry your poor fiancé. Let her go. Yes, Even if you felt pressured, you still proposed when clearly you weren't ready to do that and you are not over your ex. I think you should come clean. Emotional cheating is just very much cheating as it violates the boundaries and will hurt your fiancé. Either your fiancé will leave you or she'll forgive you, but that should be completely up to her. She has a right to know before she enters a marriage with you. You are wasting your fiancé's time and you have been doing that for the last 4 years. You need to come clean and stop betraying her. Let her find true happiness and a man who loves her. Forget the ex. Do you want to be with your fiancé? I swear to shit if this is another one of those gender flip things in the update I am going to laugh. This similar scenario keeps popping up lately. If this is real, obviously you suck ass and should let your fiancé find true happiness. Seriously, you're or whoever does this, cuz I don't trust this post to be real due to recent gender bend posts, a douche-snozzle, and I hope your fiancé finds happiness. 1. Tell fiancé what you have been doing. 2. Break up with fiancé since you're clearly not in love with her anyway. 3. In future realize that if you love someone you don't jeopardize that by putting yourself in situations where feelings may come about. You obviously don't want to spend the rest of your life with your fiancé regardless of what happens with your ex, so you should break up with her ASAP and stop keeping her on the back burner. It's going to be rough, but the sooner the better. Once that's done you can figure out how you feel about K. This is so selfish. You should have known better when your ex asked you to get her from the airport and then continued to contact you. She could have gotten an Uber or a taxi. I think you need to confess to your fiancé and break it off. You clearly do not love her. I can tell you right now, don't be surprised that she doesn't want to be with a cheater. Don't be one of those dicks who takes emotional cheating to the next level. Be honest with your girl, and go after what you want. Just make sure you aren't chasing a false dream. You guys did break up for a reason. I feel BD for your fiancé. You blame her for pressuring you, when you are the one choosing to be pressured. Grow up and own up to your actions. You knew it was cheating, because you did it behind her back. You just didn't want to admit it to yourself because then you would have to admit you're a cheat. She deserves better. As a warning, whatever issues caused the breakup in the first place, if they have not actually been resolved, only rugswept because you miss each other and feelings, then reigniting a relationship with your ex will have the same conclusion. She's sorry. Great. If I had $1 for every time a significant other or ex said they were sorry and I believed them for them to do the same shit, I could retire. You may not be ready to marry your fiancé, but I would question how much happiness you'd actually find with your ex. Pharaoh let the Israelite go pleading face. Break up the fiancé ASAP. Cheating is disgraceful behavior and you just realized that it doesn't pay to do it. You should confess to your fiancé so she knows what kind of person you are. Go get therapy. Hey man, I know people are railing you in the comments, but I get where you're coming from. You didn't mean for this to happen. It's clear you have feelings for your ex and that's alright. And #X200B. We're all human and feelings are silly things mess with us. The fact that you feel guilt is a good thing, honestly. You can see that it's wrong and now you can do something about it. You know that you've got 2 options. Purely from what you're saying, I think you should leave your fiancé. If it wasn't your ex you're falling back in love with, I think it could probably just be someone else too. Good luck, bro. It's a tough situation. Don't be a dick and you'll do just fine. Come clean with your fiancé and break up with her. She doesn't deserve this utter selfishness from you and your ex. God, you are a nasty person. Your poor fiancé. Check out R Surviving Infidelity and R Surviving My Infidelity. Honestly, your fiancé deserves way better than you. Grow up, man. Lol. It's actually common to fantasize about past relationships, girls you were interested in, and then have them come back obviously knowing what they're doing, but you need to man up and stop being so weak to the situation. If you keep letting this high school sweetheart float back into your life or other females you've had history with, you'll never truly be happy. It's more about self-discipline than really anything. Just based on how you're feeling about your ex, you should break up with your fiancé whether or not your ex actually is ready to date you again. I'd encourage you not to even bring this up with your ex until after the breakup. The breakup shouldn't be contingent on whether you have a new relationship ready to fall into, but rather simply because you're not ready to commit your whole life to her. Come clean with your fiancé and break up with her. She doesn't deserve this utter selfishness from you and your ex. Yeah dude, you need to cut completely or at least reduce contact with your ex. You also need to tell your fiancé that you have contact with her, and if you're meeting up she needs to know. Otherwise you run the risk of appearing to hide this and thereby destroying her trust in you. Have the guts to do what you want and stop wasting people's time. Firstly, has the wedding been booked? Has stuff got dates? If so, don't book anything more, and if so, postpone, or cancel any bookings. You need to get your head straight on exactly what it is you want. It reads as though this relationship is definitely a mistake. To be honest, you feel rushed and hesitant, whilst these can be normal feelings. From an outsider's perspective, 3 years and 9 months is a relatively normal amount of time to be deciding to marry someone, so the fact you feel rushed and not ready doesn't sound great. I think it's time you start talking to your fiancé properly and put your cards on the table. Life is very short, and she deserves the truth about how you're feeling too. You knew enough to hide it. I don't believe you didn't know what you were doing. Stop the engagement now. Reset yourself and then determine what you want in life. Do it now before it is too late. Okay, so I don't think you are doing anything wrong. Maybe you are just trying to figure out what you want before you get married. Don't let people tell you that all marriages are a true Hollywood love story. You may love your fiancé, but you are having cold feet or just miss an old friend and don't to hurt anyone's feelings. Having an ex in your life again might not be the best thing. Figure out what you want and make a choice. The best decisions aren't always easy. We all have skeletons in our closets. Doesn't mean you can't be a good husband to your fiancé. And the feelings about your ex might be a test to your relationship. In the end, figure out what is best for you. I feel bad for your fiancé. Does your ex know you have a fiancé? If so, she's absolutely for that. I'd advise you to break up with your girlfriend and follow what your heart desires, but I have a strong feeling the relationship you may pick up with your ex won't last. Just like the other times it didn't. So, dig deep and choose wisely. You know what you have to do. You need to let go of your fiancé. You proposed without feeling ready. That should have been the first red flag for you. Now Kay is in your life, and while it's in the emotional stage, it can quickly turn physical because you are doing boyfriend and girlfriend things with her and you know deep down it isn't right for you guys nor to your fiancé. End your relationship with your fiancé before you further hurt her. You know your heart lies with Kay, but it shouldn't be done at your fiancé's expenses. She's done nothing wrong. Every relationship has their up and downs, but Kay is the one you truly want. Don't contact Kay until you've thought about it long and hard though. You really need to let her know, she will be broken, and none of this is her fault. You clearly know what you want. Do not get married, it'll make it worse. First and foremost, don't get engaged or married because you feel like you have to. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Second of all, you're wasting your fiancé's time. This whole thing is unfair to her, it's completely selfish, tell her. Your fiancé is living one of my worst nightmares. Be kind and be honest with her before you are honest with Kay. I don't think you're at the full level of emotional cheating yet, but you did engage in it to a degree. You had some talks with a person that you used to be close to, so it was easy to talk to her again. You caught yourself and realized what's going on. It's up to you to stop it before it does get further though. Many couples experience this, but it's the choice not to act on it more, and then avoid similar interactions with that person in the future, that helps you to stay together with your current partner. For example, it certainly sounds like if your ex told you today, she misses you and wants you back, you would go to her. And if you're not quite ready to marry your GF, or maybe not even interested to marry her anymore, then that might be worth exploring also. The grass is always greener that gets the most water. Cut all contact with your ex and water your relationship with your fiancé. Wow. You just wasted years of your fiancé's life, and you're lost for words. I bet your fiancé will be, too. Be a man, and end it with her. You obviously do not love her enough to commit to her. And do any future women you date a favor, and make sure you're actually over your ex before you move on next time. You love your ex, break up with your wife to be immediately. Don't be even more of a dick by holding on to her. Let her go find someone with emotional integrity and who'll show her mutual respect. Even if this EA with Kay had never happened, you should not marry your fiancé. So clearly your entire relationship with her is one of the path of least resistance for you. You don't even really want to marry her, quit wasting her time and let her find someone who actually wants to be with her. You were pressured to the point that you thought you had to propose. The longer you stay with your fiancé, the more you will become detached from her. Trust me, I know. I have been caught up in an emotional affair. I knew that I wasn't happy with my significant other, so I left. Do realize this is going to hurt your fiancé. But do not think this is K wanting to get back together either. Take time for yourself to figure things out. Relationships aren't a destiny, they're a decision. Like most decisions, they come at the expense of other possibilities. You and your fiancé can and will have close encounters with others in your life that bring up what-if questions. Marriage readiness isn't about finding the one, it is about maturing enough to make and stand by the decision. If you cannot abide the promises you've made, then you should be honest with your fiancé. This isn't about that one girl. There'll be others. If you cannot be honest with your fiancé, then that speaks volumes. I know this sounds clinical and not heartfelt, but really honesty and trust are the most important things to any relationship. I was pressured into marriage for many reasons and I actually believed I was doing the right thing. I was miserable for 16 years. If you truly love your fiancé, there would be no one else in your relationship. I'm divorced and freely love whom I choose to. I've been with the love of my life for 4 years and I've never even thought of an ex or another man. Please think hard before you marry. So much here. You were pressured into an engagement. Anything else I say would be moot. You should probably try individual therapy and try to sort which one of these girls you want. Maybe neither. Okay, but Op did nothing wrong either. He's actually extremely controlled. Op, it's time to end it with your fiancé. But you're not a cheater.